This is a story of Wema and Maria, two girls from a small village whose wishes, granted by a magical calabash, would teach them the true meaning of balance, friendship, and humility. Wema and Maria grew up in the same village, where red earth warmed bare feet and the smell of cooking fires drifted through the air each morning. The village was alive with quiet sounds of dawn, roosters crowing in the distance, mothers stirring porridge, children rubbing sleep from their eyes. The red earth did more than warm their feet. It held their stories, their footsteps, their memories. Though they came from different families, they had been friends since they were small, enough to chase butterflies without tiring. Back then, their laughter rang freely, unburdened by worrying or want, carried on the wind like birdsong. Every day followed a familiar rhythm, a rhythm as steady as the sun rising and setting, as dependable as a river flowing toward the bend. At dawn, Wema helped her mother mold clay into pots, her hands patient and strong. She pressed, shaped, and smoothed the clay, knowing each pot meant food on the table, warmth at night, and dignity for her family. The work was slow, but she never complained. Maria swept her family's wide compound and fed their goats and chickens, humming as she worked. Her voice was light, her steps quick. She liked finishing early so she could admire herself in polished metal surfaces or imagine a future far bigger than the village. When their chores were finished, the girls met beneath the old mango tree at the edge of the village. The tree stood tall and generous, offering shade and shelter, as it had done for generations of children before them. There they played games, clapping, hopping, laughing until their stomachs hurt. Their laughter echoed through the fields, turning ordinary days into bright memories. Sometimes they raced through the fields, dust rising behind them, or shared stories they had heard from their grandmothers, about spirits that lived in rivers and trees. Stories of blessings given and blessings taken away. Stories meant to warn as much as to entertain. On certain afternoons, they walked together along the forest path to fetch firewood. The path wound between tall trees whose leaves whispered secrets overhead. They balanced bundles of dry branches on their heads and talked about their dreams. "I want beautiful things and a big life," Maria often said with a smile. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke, already reaching for a future filled with shine and admiration. "I just want my family to always have enough," Wema replied quietly. Her voice was softer, but her wish carried a deeper weight. As evening approached, there was one chore they always shared: fetching water from the Riverbend. Each evening, carrying clay pots, they walked side by side toward the Riverbend. Their footsteps slowed as the air cooled, shadows stretching longer with each step. The path was familiar, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. It was a path of memory, faith, and caution. Elders often warned children not to linger there after sunset, for the river was old and remembered many secrets. Some said the river listened, others said it judged. One calm morning, as mist floated like white cloth above the river and birds called softly, something unusual caught Wema's eye near the roots of an old fig tree. Her steps slowed, her heart stirring with an unexplainable feeling. Half buried in the sand lay a calabash unlike any they had ever seen. It looked untouched by time. It was smooth and dark, carved with strange symbols that shimmered faintly in the light. The symbols seemed to move when stared at too long. "Maria, do you see that?" Wema whispered. Her voice trembled. Maria stepped closer, brushing away sand with her foot. "It's beautiful. Maybe someone left it behind." Her curiosity burned brighter than her caution. Wema hesitated. "Elders say the river keeps what belongs to it." The warning echoed in her mind. As Maria reached out, the wind suddenly stopped. Leaves froze mid-rustle. The birds fell silent. The world seemed to lean inward. Even the river seemed to hold its breath. Then the calabash spoke. "Do not fear, children of the river." The girls jumped back in shock, their water pots rattling. Fear and wonder battled in their chests. "I am the calabash of balance," the voice continued, deep and calm. It sounded older than the village itself. "I grant wishes spoken with honest hearts." Maria's eyes widened with excitement. "You can truly grant wishes?" Her pulse raised. "Yes," the calabash replied. "But hear this and remember it well. I must never be moved from this place. The ground beneath me is my life." Wema stepped forward respectfully. "Then we will not move you." She bowed her head, honoring both magic and warning. Carefully, they made their wishes. Wema wished for her family to never lack food or warmth. Her wish was simple, rooted in love rather than desire. That very evening, her mother's pots were filled, and their home felt lighter with peace. Laughter returned to their hearth. Maria wished for fine clothes and shining jewelry. Her heart danced at the thought. By morning, her room sparkled with beads and bright fabrics. Neighbors gasped in awe. Day after day, they returned to the Riverbend. Each visit strengthened their belief. The calabash granted their wishes, always repeating its warning. A warning whispered patiently. At first, the girls obeyed, but slowly, desire grew. Like weeds in fertile soil. One afternoon, Maria said, "Why should we walk all this way? If we take the calabash home, We can wish whenever we want. Her voice was casual, but her eyes burned. Wema's heart tightened. It warned us. We must not. Fear and loyalty clashed inside her. Maria laughed. It's only a calabash. What harm could it do? Her laughter drowned the warning. One night, driven by curiosity and greed, they returned to the Riverbend. The moon watched silently. Together, they lifted the calabash from the sand. The earth shook. The ground groaned in protest. Cracks spread across the calabash like lightning. The symbols flared. You have broken the promise, the voice cried. With a loud crack, the calabash shattered, releasing dark smoke into the air. The night swallowed their screams. From that day on, trouble followed them. Wema's family lost their harvest to drought. The soil turned hard and unyielding. Maria's wealth disappeared, livestock fell ill, and thieves emptied her home. Silk and shine meant nothing then. The village elders soon learned what had happened. Magic is a gift, not a possession, the eldest elder said sadly. His voice carried sorrow, not anger. Filled with regret, Wema and Maria returned to the Riverbend and knelt where the calabash once lay. They apologized with tears and humble hearts. The earth listened. That night, rain fell softly for the first time in many weeks. A quiet forgiveness. The calabash never returned, but balance slowly came back to the village. Slowly, carefully. From that day on, the girls were changed. Wema learned to listen more deeply to elders, to the land, and to the quiet warnings of her own heart. She worked patiently again, trusting that honest effort and gratitude would provide what her family needed. Her strength became wisdom. Maria, humbled by loss, learned that beauty and wealth without respect bring only emptiness. She began to help others, sharing what she had and finding joy in simple things she had once ignored. The village remembered the lesson of the Riverbend for generations. And so, whenever children passed the old fig tree by the river, elders would remind them, the earth listens, the river remembers, and balance must always be honored.